is some announcements, and this is the final Thursday of the 2024 fall practice period. Amazing. And then this weekend, we have the Buddha's Awakening retreat and the closing Hoshin Shiki Shuso ceremony and the closing of the practice period. So please be there this weekend if you can, in fully in whatever portion of it that you're able to do it. The Hoshin Shiki, the Shuso ceremony, let me just say something a little about the question for the Shuso, which is part of the ceremony, because it's important to sit with the question. The question is, what's in your heart mind? What's the deepest Dharma question that's here for you right now? Having practiced, having in being alive in this period of time in your life, how have these slogans and this practice period been turning in you? And then sit with the question, because it's not like a 3-sentence question. It's like you sit with it until it becomes an essence question. And that's the question that you bring forward for the Shuso. And whatever comes will be perfect. And I will confess that sometimes I think and I think and I think I don't know what the question is. And then I'm sitting there and all of a sudden it's really clear what the question is. So, you know, whatever your process is, trust that. Next week, we will no longer be in the practice period. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be focusing on Zen forms. Earthquake detected? How?
Earthquake detected, drop cover, hold on, protect yourself.
Very.
I've maybe this is my imagination, but I thought I felt a little something.
Well,
Could just be me. Sorry.
You know, with the Buddha's teachings, they say that the earth shook. And let's just pay attention. If it starts really shaking, let's drop and take cover. Well, I suppose we would.
Oh, yeah, the light is.
the monitors moving.
My house is shaking. It's
Oh.
shaking here at my house.
There.
Wow.
Patricia, she's in Sebastopol.
Yeah. Oh, well,
It is shaking.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, now I see,
Was not
but
my
very subtle.
imagination.
Yeah, no, it's very subtle. Just to be safe, Leslie, why don't you, and Lady,
Yeah,
why don't
don't
you move
sit
so you're not
underneath
sitting
it.
right underneath those lamps?
Does it say
whatever
the center was?
No. No.
We could also step outside if people feel more comfortable doing that.
But
It feels okay to me to stay, but is anybody uncomfortable? Okay. You never know what's gonna happen, right? Just,
there it is. What does it say now? It says, oh, mine doesn't say it yet.
It's here. What's it say?
It didn't say.
Whose phone was that?
It doesn't come into the messages.
So cooperative.
Oh, well. I guess we're okay. I guess we can.
Well,
just-
we'll just keep paying attention. If it comes on again, we will, and please, anybody on screen, do what you need to do to feel safe.
Yeah, there was a 6.0 earthquake on the coast up towards Reading.
Oh,
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. But you're far south.
Everyone be safe and well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So again, grounding in, we don't know. Don't waste this life. Pay attention. So we're gonna be studying Zen forms the next 2 weeks, then we're gonna, for 2 weeks after that, it's all in the newsletter and I'll keep telling people. Some of us are going to Tassajara for, from January 28th, from December 28th to January 3rd, part of the Wildland Firefighter Retreat. And just the configuration of the dates, that it'll be a couple of weeks where we won't meet here. And then the beginning of January, we will be back forever and ever, as we always are, unless the earth shakes and the sky falls down. And we're gonna study Sandokai, which we've done a number of years ago. We'll be using branching stream flow on the dark, Suzuki Roshi's commentary. It's a core teaching of Soto Zen, and a very beautiful poem, and I think it will help us and support us and encourage us as we move into what seems to be there seem to be certain people who would like to make the earth shake in a way that doesn't necessarily feel like it's going to serve everyone in our government. I mean, in our country, the world does seem to be sort of shaky and uneven. I mean, it's an interesting time we're living in. And I think the Sandokai will give us deep ground to sit in. So I am going to do a little commentary here, and then I'm going to pass it to our Shuso as we close this. I thought I have four main texts that I've been using, and I thought it would be interesting at the close. Well, I thought it was interesting. Hopefully, you will too. To look at what each one said at the very end of the teachings. What's the teaching that's the final teaching in the traditional and in the commentaries and the traditional Lojong teachings. So that's what I'm going to do, and then that's, I think, in her own way what the Shuso is going to do, and then we're going to ask all of you. So I guess we'll start with Pema because she's on top. I think that all of us are like eagles who have forgotten that we know how to fly. The teachings are reminding us who we are and what we can do. They help us notice that we're in a nest with a lot of old food and old diaries, excrement, and stale air. When we were very young, we've had this longing to see those mountains in the distance and experience that big sky and the vast ocean, but somehow we got trapped in that nest just because we forgot that we knew how to fly. We are like eagles, but we have on underwear, pants, shirts, socks, shoes, and hat and coat, and boots and mittens, and a Walkman, and a phone, and dark glasses, and it occurs to us that we could experience that vast sky, but we better start taking off some of this stuff that we think is us. So we take off the coat and the hat, and it's cold, and we know that we have to do it. And we teeter on the edge of the nest, and we take off. Then we find out for ourselves that everything has to go. It's wrong, so not,
That's what happens when you
stay on that.
still earthquake.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Northwest.
Yeah, bad.
Yes.
You are in danger.
Danger, but good.
There's the plates on off the Oregon coast are going to subside at some point. There's going to be sometime, they just don't know when, there's going to be a massive tsunami that just inundates the north, parts of the Oregon coast are just going to be gone.
Doing a commentary on mostly what's called climate crisis. This is gonna happen. I mean, we all just know. And then our little phones buzz, and it's like for a moment, maybe it brings it closer to. Wow, elemental don't know. So again, I'm gonna keep saying, if you know somebody at the coast that you're worried about and you want to check on them, but we'll also just dedicate our time and our teachings to may everybody be safe and well. Okay to go on?
Yes.
Okay. Everything has to go. We try so hard to hang on to the teachings and to get it, but actually the truth sinks in like rain into hard earth. The rain is very gentle and we soften up slowly at our own speed. But when that happens, something has fundamentally changed in us. That hard earth has softened. It doesn't seem to happen by trying to get it or capture it. It happens by letting go. It happens by, no matter what happens, relaxing your mind. And it happens by the aspiration and the longing to want to communicate with yourself and others. Each of us has to find our own way. In this earthquake existence of groundless ground. Okay, here's a classic guide, The Great Path of Awakening, Jamong Kong Tru, translated by Ken MacLeod, a little commentary at the close of this one. For someone who uses mind training, which is what the Lojong teachings are, virtuous activity increases directly with the proliferation of adverse conditions. It's like yummy, yummy. Troublesome conditions, earthquakes, tsunamis, wow! Just as the flames of a fire become stronger and stronger as more wood is piled on. This teaching has a special feature that others lack. It changes all disturbing emotions and adverse conditions into the way of awakening. This is it. These instructions are like the essence of an elixir and will enrich the course of experience and be helpful to everyone, whatever their capacity. These are profound teachings. You don't have to avoid adverse conditions, since they perform the function of a spiritual friend. By using adverse conditions, you gather the accumulations, clear away obscurations, be reminded of Dharma, and derive benefit for your understanding. When suffering comes, if you look at just what it is, it arises as emptiness. It's not solid. You can't grasp it or hold on to it. However much you suffer, the suffering is just the dance of what is, so you shouldn't be depressed. It's good if all these things happen, since they can be taken as aids to putting Dharma into practice. You can see the classic teachings are, it's like, don't be depressed. Well, wait a minute, but I am depressed. The classic teachings are a little more absolute, and it's why we need commentaries like Norman Fisher's that bring it down to earth, but it's still good to hear. And this one is Advice from a Spiritual Friend, commentary on the same teaching. The various means for developing the awakening mind and transforming one's thoughts are like the entrance to a treasure house. From it, many ways of developing spiritual insight will arise. This is the conclusion from the conclusion. These practices clearly show a means of transforming any action of our body, speech, and mind into inner development. In this time of rapid changes in the world and emotional instability, this text is easily understood and is of practical benefit. Everyone wishes for permanent peace free from all suffering, yet such peace can only come from within each of us. It cannot be gained by material means, no matter how extensive. That's why this is such a great time to be alive, because it's just everywhere you look. It just, I don't know about you, but climate crisis, crazy politics, dictators, and it's just like, find your ground. Find your ground. It helps everybody find their ground. This is our work. We help each other. Teachings contain a supreme method for acquiring happiness. In order to attain it, however, nothing is more important than putting this method into practice. Practice, practice, practice. And Nora Fisher. In old China and in the Western world too, religion was a precious. I'm editing a little bit. I wanted to be sure what I said. In old China, he's told a story about old China, about how religion was sacred and arcane. It wasn't necessarily, you couldn't use it. And I think that's true of Western religions often, is what's happened in our tradition is it's become our Judeo-Christian traditions aren't necessary. For some people, they're alive, and for other people, we don't know how to enter them and make them alive and relevant to our daily lives. Not that they're not, it's just they've been made small. In old China, people didn't understand the ancient traditions and didn't expect to. Their lives were crushingly difficult, and it was faith and devotion to their religion that gave them hope for a better world to come. Like, it's not this world. It's like we're gonna go to heaven someplace else. And just this world is to be tolerated or. But now most of us want and expect better lives, and we aspire to develop greater understanding of ourselves and of the universe. We don't want to abandon hope in this world or hope in the world to come. Hope right here. What is alive, active, embodied hope? If we are now facing hard times, as human beings always have, much better to face them with patient, compassionate hearts than with fear and panic. Watch your fear body. Pay attention to your fear body. We all got one. If you think you don't have a fear body, you're not paying attention. Pay attention to anxiety. Pay attention to panic. Pay attention to those voices that the sky is falling. Don't quell it. Don't run with it. These are practices for staying present with and for everyone. We have always needed one another. Our love for one another is both natural to us and something we need to strengthen through cultivation. Our love for one another is both natural for us and something we need to strengthen through cultivation. We need sermons that we can understand and use. I think that's fun. I was working. I'm going to hand this Gretchen, but I was working on the lectures for this weekend, and in retreats I have this feeling that I can do things that are a little more the word esoteric came, but it's like, because when you're sitting, you can really absorb and hear Dogen in a different way than when we just wander in here, but it's like, what are these teachings really saying? What do they have to do with us? And they're so ancient and rich and deep, and sometimes it's like, huh? But if you sit with them, your body knows, your heart knows. That's what's so amazing about having, to me, an ancient tradition, is it's not just, we just don't change them because they make us uncomfortable. It's like, what is that? Sit with it all the way through. And we need many reminders and encouragements. And Norman says here, I hope this book has helped. That these Lojong teachings and bringing them forward here, they're very, very practical. So we have good spiritual friends. And I hope and trust that everyone has been and is awakened and a little wiser, clearer. But we'll find out ongoing. But now we're going to hear from Nikki Kelly. Go yourself.
Thanks. Just gonna. Chris asked me to talk today about how it's been for me to be Shuso. I first thought of calling it my way losing mind talk. Because it has been So powerful.
Could you talk a little louder, please?
Sure. Shall I repeat anything or just?
Yes, please.
Repeat it. That was great. Worth repeating.
I first thought of calling this my losing mind talk because of the powerful stress of being Shuso. First of all, I am deeply grateful for all your help. Being Shuso has been a wonderful honor and a challenge. I have learned so much and felt wonderful love for and from the Sangha and support both before and during the practice period, and have enjoyed getting to know you all in a deeper way. I didn't remember much about the Lojong practice from when we studied it in the past. Finding Norman's book already on my shelf was somewhat of a surprise for me. Mind training isn't something I had put a name to in the past, though I realize now that practicing Zen and attending Sangha is exactly that, and I will benefit from our slogan study long after this practice period. I also discovered my inner snail. Anyway.
You need a little louder?
On
Yeah, louder, please.
On a practice level, I learned
If you hold your paper up, no, no, just enough, then you'll project more out for everyone.
Here we go. Okay, where was I? Inner snail,
Yeah.
as you may recall from earlier moments. On a practical level, I learned to create a spreadsheet, keeping track of practice period participants, and responded to the applications and shared them with Chris using Google Docs. I found myself in a leadership role during the teas quite outside of my comfort zone. I've enjoyed a great deal and survived even the most stressful moments, at least so far. That's, that I was and continue to be very uncomfortable being in the limelight is certainly no secret. And again, I appreciate the Sangha's patience with my limitations as a speaker. I did discover a love of researching, taking notes, organizing, and writing and rewriting. After I disastrously updated my computer, I learned to use Google Docs instead of Word, which was suggested by a kind neighbor. My Word 2003 was impossible to use after the updating. Eventually, I learned how to start a new document, the rainbow plus sign in the corner. And then I knew there was no going back, though I still miss my favorite fonts, Papyrus and Bradley Hand ITC. Maybe someone knows how to get to them in Google Docs. I've been realizing how quick I can be to see myself as different and not a part of things, separate from others. It's a paradox now, both no longer always seeing myself as different, special, or unusual, and at the same time seeing myself as different, special, and unique, just like everyone else is. Certainly, there are as many ways to be human as there are human beings, and all humans are just that. The results of the election in the midst of the practice period, not to mention the earthquake just now, was a particular challenge for all of us. I had pretty much maintained my usual practice of hanging back, not getting involved, staying in the here and now on my own as I could, both before and after the election, listening to podcasts and following the news, but not doing anything about it. I feel so much gratitude for those of us who worked so hard for Harris to win, who donated resources, attended the election retreat, wrote postcards, made calls and texts, etc. I feel sorry that I didn't participate, even though I don't know what difference it would have made, but I knew my own limitations. I felt that being Shuso was challenging enough for me, And after the results were in, I responded by getting a bad cold. Part of the preparation for my being Shusho was to let go of my usual Sangha roles, registrar, ably picked up by Marilyn, occasional Doan, and of course, and code keeper of the code, to get into the building and the bathroom. And of course, tech. I became aware of how much I enjoyed those roles and how unconsciously felt ownership of them. It made me feel competent and important and brought a lot of ego satisfaction and positive feedback. As wonderful Sangha folks have stepped up to learn and contribute greatly to tech, I gradually learned to step back and share the role, have been learning to step back and share the role. I'm certainly a perfectionist, there is no doubt. My meditation practice has deepened, especially with attending Debbie's Monday, Wednesday, Friday meditation group. I'm very grateful for this wonderful resource. After my way-seeking mind talk, several people remarked on my courage and vulnerability, which surprised me, not being sure if vulnerability was a good thing or a bad thing. Google suggested the very question, and of course the answer was it can be both. I did find a definition I like. Vulnerability, the willingness to open oneself up emotionally, share one's thoughts and feelings honestly, and express genuine authenticity without fear of judgment or rejection. I do make it my practice to find someone to tell everything that happens to me, especially those things that I might want to hide or be ashamed of. Feelings of grief and loneliness have come up for me during this time, especially around being without my sister or any other local family members, and not having a best friend or partner. I know a lot of people share those things. I do feel that I have more confidence in my ability to handle changes and forgive myself for not being perfect. More and more, I'm in touch with a deep desire to maintain joy and act for the well-being of all, rather than wanting to be nice out of fear of rejection or to feed my ego. On that note, I think I'm more willing to ask for help and reach out for human contact. I mentioned my motto that the right thing always happens. It is also true. I think that no one knows what will happen minute to minute and what it might mean in the long run. So I'm trying to stay in the present with curiosity and awe, knowing that at any moment I could get a flat tire, see a crescent moon, or listen to an earthquake drill. Warning. At times during this practice period when I felt that my energy was flagging or I'd given up on being productive, I headed out to walk with the dog. The other day, I had been planning to take a short local walk and found myself driving all the way out to the coast just to watch the waves and see the sun go down. On Monday, a trip to the market turned into a visit to Crane Creek Regional Park instead, which was transformed and transforming after the rain. Even short walks around the mobile home park where I live have been healing. And so to finish, I'd like to bring you along with me by sharing a few photos from recent walks. See if this works. Okay, there. And slideshow. I see that. Push. And slideshow. Uh-oh, gotta turn the volume down. And whoops, we can go back to that first. Yeah, so I won't, they're no particular order. And most, I guess, are pretty self-explanatory, but here we go. This is Mita, if you don't know. That was last night. I hope people got to see that. Crescent Moon and Venus. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, then she hasn't even done the final ceremony yet. We haven't done it together and wow. I had the thought, Gretchen, because we don't acknowledge this very often, that there's a wildflower picture at the end of each newsletter that Gretchen's done for some time, and they're always just exquisitely beautiful. Just as these photos were and are. But it's so wonderful to watch it blossoming through your presence, that you've revealed yourself more and more to yourself and to us as part of. Pictures aren't out there. I mean, of course they are and they're beautiful, but it's also right here. So thank you. Wow, practice. Part of me wants to say, wow, practice works, and the other part of me says, no gaining idea. That is beautiful to watch. It's like flowers, like watching flowers. So whether you've been in the practice period or not, you've been alive. I mean, I would assume you look like you're alive. So the question, you can make your own in whatever way. I just turn to somebody next to you. And I'll put you guys in twos. It might end up with some threes. And what have you learned in this practice period? What are you learning? What are you learning? What's alive in this time of your life? Okay, go for it. You got about 15, less than 15 minutes.